Hey, welcome to Mind Rewire. This is Christy Mattoon. Coming to you today because I want to talk to you about what happens when nothing seems to work. What happens when you're not feeling it? What happens when you think you've tried everything and nothing seems to get to the problem that you're having? That's the discussion today. And so we're going to dive right in with exactly that question. Why doesn't anything work? So I want you to sit for a second and just think about all of the things that you've tried. All of the techniques, all of the protocols. Some of them worked sometimes. Maybe some of them worked most of the time. Maybe some of them didn't work at all and you just flat out gave up. Maybe it was something like a Reiki treatment. Maybe it was NLP and all of the events, including the fire walking, all of the coaching, all of the things that you sat through. Maybe it was affirmations and putting a card everywhere, reaffirming them. Maybe you tried to meditate, but you just can't ever seem to sit still long enough. Maybe it was the therapies that only doctors can learn and can instruct you through, like EMDR. Maybe it was hypnotherapy. Maybe it was something like brain spotting. I don't even know. What else have you tried? Maybe EFT? That's something we can all learn. I actually had a gentleman the other day ask me if it's possible to tap a hole into his temple because he had tapped so much. He said sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. And he asked me if he was maybe missing the exact point to tap on. Now, I don't know if that's possible or if that can even happen, but why is it that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't? You may have even used something like a whole brain state, which is the idea of brain gym, PSYCH-K, energy psychology protocols. Different ones use a whole brain state. Sometimes in different forms, in different ways. Sometimes you're seated in a posture or you do a cross crawl activity. Even what I do uses a whole brain state. Sometimes. And on a more physical end, maybe it was your trainer who tells you to lower your calories and exercise. But you already have done that and you're basically starving yourself to death. And you don't have any energy left to even work out. But then somebody else tells you maybe you need to eat more. You're not eating enough and your body's going into a different place, but you're scared to eat more. Maybe it was another person that said you needed a different antiperspirant. Maybe not an antiperspirant. Maybe you needed a different antidepressant. But you already tried that one. And that didn't work either. You just ended up with more symptoms and more issues. Maybe you were told you needed more vitamins, different vitamins, better food supply. Maybe you should be breathing more, breathing differently. Did you have the mom that told you maybe you just needed to take a spa day and go relax? But you already do that every other week. And while in the moment it feels great, just like some of these other things, nothing seems to be changing for you long term. What could it be? It could be a combination of all of these things do work. They do what they're supposed to do most of the time. But there is one thing, if you don't do, you will struggle and continue to struggle. And you may never even realize what it is that's stopping you in your tracks. And it's something that you have on board, you have the availability and the ability to do for yourself all of the time. And here's what I say to people. When you feel stuck and there's nothing else you can do and nothing's working, heighten your state of emotion. Bring your emotional level up a little bit. It sends a new signal to the brain. Think about the intention. What is the body stuck on? If the body has its own state of being, its own memory, its own cellular capacity to know, and your emotional state to change or heal the issue is not equal or greater to the problem at hand, then the energy needed from the chemicals and hormones and all the composition of your body internally will not overcome the state that you are in. It takes a heightened, aware, very intentional, emotional bump to heighten the emotional value to solve the problem. In a low emotional state, the body is relearning old patterns. And in staying in that state, it will keep you in the same place. Think about going to the gym. It's a great example. Or going to an office party. that you just don't want to go do, right? You're sitting on the couch, you got your chips, you got your beer, you've got your show on, and you don't want to get up and go. How hard do you fight and kick and scream to stay sitting on that couch inside of yourself? You kick up the emotions that serve the program, that serve the chemical concoction that have already made the circuitry in your brain. And so you fight and you fight. And you tell yourself, I don't want to go. Therefore, I feel like I don't want to go. You kick up those chemicals in your system that give you that feeling. And then you tell yourself the story as to why you don't want to go. And then the next time it comes around, it's easier to do that to yourself. I don't want to go. Here's how I feel. Here's how come I don't want to. Here's the story as to why. It gets easier and it gets faster, and you're still sitting on your couch. What are you telling yourself? Do you know? Have you listened? What's the conversation inside your head? What are you feeling inside your body when you have that conversation? If you've gotten aware enough that this feeling could be altered, you can redesign that program to like the gym, to not be in a fight with it, and to desire to actually go. That feeling is the chemicals and hormones that are stamped on this issue inside your system. Somewhere in your body, there's something that relates it all together. From your brain to your system to your cells, your body remembers. You have trained it so well. And now you go to that program automatically. It does what it does every time. It is equivalent to the emotional state that you're in. A new pattern will never be learned on a cellular level without a new emotional state. You have to recreate and create a new emotional state. That's the angle I take anyway. What that new emotional state will do for you is put you in a different pattern. It'll give you a different way to think, and it makes your body feel differently. I go back to it all the time. The last video we did this. Think about something you like. Pull it up in your system, feel it, know it. What does your body feel like when you think of that thing? Think of something you don't like. What does your body feel like? In a split second, you're kicking out different combinations of chemicals. Your body is searching for stability according to whatever it is you're thinking about, and it's giving you the chemical concoction that relates back to the event, to the thing that you just now thought of. Good or bad, you get those chemicals back. How do you recreate the system so that it's giving you more of the good chemicals than the bad ones? That's the game that's afoot. That's the thing that we want to do. From a subconscious standpoint, how can we get in underneath all this subconscious input, all these things that you've already got valued in your head, knock those out of play and input the things that you do want? It's an interesting question, and it's actually a lot of fun to do, and it's probably way easier than you can imagine. And actually, it is way easier than you can imagine. It's what I do every day with my clients. I've gone from a pastry chef at 300 pounds to a personal trainer at 150 full of tons of muscle, and I'll show you a picture of that. Here I am at my heaviest weight that I ever was, and then over to when I was working out a ton. Here's me on a dip bench with 45 pounds strapped to my back. Could I do that right now? No, because I haven't created the space, or I don't have the time, unfortunately, right now to work on it, which is part of the whole chemical plan, right? I put myself into this mindset that I don't have time, I don't have space, and I don't have the ability to go do that thing. But I've done it before, so I could probably find it pretty easily. To where I am right now, standing here talking to you about what it took me to drive that kind of change. Was it the diets? Was it what I was eating? From 300 pounds to what I am now. I don't think it was necessarily the eating or the exercise or anybody, my trainer, anybody else that caused this change. All of those things were amazing and very helpful. Don't get me any wrong. It all plays a part. Without each piece, I couldn't have got here. But underneath it all was an emotional state. There was an emotional pattern and a chemical reaction, a chemical concoction that signaled my genes and body as to how to act and react. And I fell for it every time until tragedy struck. And then I had to reprogram. or cease to exist. I had to change. It was the emotional state, the reprogramming that directed my body and my environment and allowed me to start to participate in a whole new way of being and recreate the environment that I was in, including my physical body. Mine started with exercise at a gym with an amazing trainer and a different way of eating. But none of that took hold. None of that really started shaping anything until I changed my emotional state. It's just my thoughts. That was the process I went through. It's the process I see a lot of people going through. If you undercut everything else, what's at the bottom of it? So what I do for people is offer a new way to redesign the self. Get rid of the old self, get rid of that old person, and create a new one. The new you cannot act like the old one. You can't. Or you'll trip back into the old patterns. You'll go back into the old chemical concoction that your body remembers and stored and knows and will retell you. For more information, go to mindrewire.com on how to change your emotional home to one that will actually reflect the you that you want to be. And if you just want to talk to me for a few, get on a call with me. I can tell you what I know and how this works and how easy it is to actually bring change on a conscious level to your chemical reactions to life. Blessings and peace. This is Christy Mattoon. We'll see you next time.